Welcome to another skate work day. I suppose this is skate work day video number 3. So I find it kind of ironic that I made some video bragging about how many days in a row a 36-year-old can skate, and I had a wicked couple of months where I was skating almost every single day, and then out of nowhere, seemingly, my knees started to hurt excruciatingly, and so I actually haven't skated for about 5 days, had to let the knees flare down a little. And today I have a bunch of things on the agenda, but one of the things is I'm going to be working on refining my tutorials. So what I'm going to do today is, spoiler alert, I'm going to do a 50-50 on a flat bar tutorial. But what I'm going to do is film a whole bunch of them from a whole bunch of different angles and really watch them at home before I actually go out and film the talking part of the tutorial, because I want to really observe myself how I do them before I actually start doing it. So first things first, I'm going to warm up at the old Richmond Park and just sort of, get those old knees rolling again. So the goal right now is not to try and have a crushing session at the old Richmond skate park. This park actually kind of irks me a bit because it's the park I injured my knee in last summer. But it's just to get warmed up enough that I can get some 50-50s on film. I have never been a frontside boardside guy. So next I want to get into progression, because as skateboarders we can get kind of obsessed with progression without ever thinking about why. Because you could just do the same tricks that you already have all the time if you've got a handful of them. So why would we be focusing on progression when, say, I've already got enough tricks to last me? So I just watched a very interesting talk with Jordan Peterson, and it was in the vein of progression. So he talks about order and chaos, and threading that line from order to chaos, and that's where progression happens. So I'm gonna link that talk in the description below. It's well worth your time. But just to summarize, so if I spend all my time only doing all the tricks I already have dialed, that's the order in my life. So I'm highly focused on the order. And when I'm trying new tricks, there's an element of chaos, and the extreme end of that chaos is like slams and injuries. So when you're progressing, what you're doing is you're pushing that line a little bit out of order and into chaos, and that's where true learning and progression happens. That's where forward momentum is built. So on that theme, I'm gonna jump down here and start threading that line, trying to get my frontside crew grinds for a while. This is gonna be the last try. I have a lot to do today and I can't spend all my energy on this. Isn't that the case where whenever you're about to give up, you get one that pushes you to keep moving forward? Now I know there was nothing too spectacular about that frontside crew grind in particular, but I think this really illustrates beautifully the order and chaos that is skateboarding. So as you can see, I can't with any degree of certainty know what happens when I jump into a frontside crew grind. I haven't figured out proper truck placement, and when I finally do get it, I usually lock up or zoot out. Like I just haven't figured out how to make sense of that chaos yet. So the purpose of practicing them over and over and over again is slowly, like those neural pathways connect, and you start to get the muscle memory, and eventually you make order out of that chaos. Now in one last exercise, let's see how long it takes me to pull some order out of the chaos that is a switch backside tail slide. I'd say that counts as order. We must be moving on to the next spot. So if you can't tell, I'm kind of doing my usual circuit of parks, but we're gonna change it up a little. Instead of doing the usual like 50-50, 5-0 Smith grind back disaster that you guys see me do pretty much every time I come here, today we're gonna honor a true Canadian skateboard tradition, and that is the Canadian Flyout. So I think these got so popular because we had a lot of like snake run bowls with like a big deep bowl at the end where you just basically flew out of. So hence the hashtag Canadian Flyout. I'm too old to tweak my grabs. I'm probably just gonna tweak my back instead. I'm trying here, but for a guy who was complaining about his knees at the beginning of the video, I think I better take it easy soon. Alright, that's enough of that. I need to work on my Spitfire wheel review and drink a puddle of chia water. So the best thing about drinking a puddle of chia water is that they get stuck in your teeth. And so for the next hour, you can pick them out with your tongue, which is super entertaining and fun for someone who's on the ADHD spectrum like me. Coffee time. As you guys can see, I finally made good on my flight deck purchase. So I was having a hard time picking which deck to get. There was the Scott DeCenzo, which was an 8.2, so it was a little bit skinnier, and I thought I might skate a little better on it. And he's a local kid. Well, he's a man now, but he was a kid back when I used to see him skating. And his graphic was just kind of a skull with some Canadiana on it. I don't know, like a moose and some lumberjack axes and stuff. So it wasn't really speaking to me. So I was humming and hawing over which deck to get, support the Canadian guy that I know or some other dude that I don't know, but all of a sudden the War Pigs song came on with the air raid sirens at the very beginning, and I was like, no, this is the deck, this is the one. Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. Some of you guys are gonna know that line. I gotta work on my back Smiths a little bit. I only do them on low ledges and don't try them enough to get consistent. back really is the key to those. I'm not gonna try and waste my time to get a clean kickflip out of there. Now I'm gonna skate this hip, which is actually not a hip, it's an excuse to have a big fatty to flatty with a tiny slope to land on. It's definitely actually a Canadian flyout. And it's time for me to go. I'm late for getting home, but it's been a very productive day. We thread that line between order and chaos well today, and knock on wood, I came out of it injury-free, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Yes.
Good. Oh my God.
Homemade pickles.